the SEC is about to move from a 14-team league into a 16-team league, and that's going to happen in 2024, which means they got to figure this out like now or next week or very, very soon at the least. So what are, in your mind, like Danny, in your mind, what are the big sticking points or what stands out to you within the 8-game, 9-game schedule debate? As we've heard from coaches and athletic directors on all sides of this, what seems to be the really important and difficult point to get everybody on the same page?
It's a good question. So I thought it was done. Like, I thought it was just because it made so much sense. And we did the schedules. Not that it was done, but like it was a pretty safe assumption to believe that's where we're headed. Now, I do think some of the pushback that you would get from Sankey and from the higher ups is what we always hear about the SEC. Well, that's going to be so hard, man. That's just a gauntlet. We have the toughest conference in the land. We'll have teams with 3 and, our best teams could have 2 and 3 losses just because they're playing against each other. And so it's built in this kind of mechanism that says, do we really want to bang heads against each other and prevent multiple teams from being in the playoff? That was the way I read it, was that, and this is a genius move until somebody prevents you from doing it this way. Why wouldn't you make your schedule easier so that you have more bowl eligible teams, more teams in the playoff every year? You present, you have more 10-win teams because you have 4 non-cons, 2 or 3 are pretty easy, and it kind of helps the overall strength of the conference. That's what I think why they would go against it would be the preservation of what they've been doing, and it's worked really well for them.
Well, there are some forward thinkers here. According to Sports Illustrated's Ross Dellinger, Florida, Georgia, Texas A&M, LSU, and Missouri are schools that support a 9-game schedule model. I think that Greg Sankey does too. Mm-hmm. And what he is hearing is pushback from people that say, what we should get more money if we are going to play one more game. And that's where I'm not your good media watch guy. But that's where it would be not the best look for ESPN in the midst of a summer of layoffs and also bidding on other media rights, big bids that are going to be coming up soon, for them to also go back in and reopen a deal, which, according to my understanding, has no language that says we get more money for a 9-game conference schedule. It can be reopened for more money for new teams, but moving to a 9-game conference schedule does not automatically trigger higher payouts for some of these schools. That's where the Sankey quote is, the money, we don't follow the money follows us. We need to be on the forefront of this, which to me is a little bit of like, look, ESPN, they set us up. They don't want Alabama against UT Martin. They want Alabama against a conference opponent because those home games were going to be on their airways. This is about increasing the product for your media rights partner, and another conference game is going to be much more attractive and rate better than whatever you are going to have from the non-conference schedule.
That's BS, if that's actually how they feel. Because when they were negotiating with ESPN, was the 8 and 9-game conference schedule never brought up? We're supposed to believe that nobody ever thought of the idea that, hey, we're going to 16 teams. Maybe we're going to expand the schedule by a game. Of course that was brought up. That's bull. I almost said the word I can't say. That's crap. Here's what's happening. Nick Saban for years has been saying we should play 9 games. We should play 9 games. We should play 9 games. Suddenly he finds out one of his protected rivalries is going to be against LSU. And now he's like, I don't think we should play 9 games. We should stick at 8 and I'll just play Auburn every year and we'll rotate everybody else. And then there are the bottom half of the league who just want to keep going to bowl games. You want to make more money by playing an extra conference game? You will. You know why? Because you'll stop having to pay $1 million to an FCS team to come to your campus every year. So you'll save $1 million every year and you'll play an SEC team instead. There, you've made more money. Stop being babies. Just do it.
I think Tom's right on this. By the way, happy birthday, my son Liam. Thanks for watching at home.
Liam.
So the 4 is up. Is there any chance? Do you guys remember when the Big 12 tried to sue ESPN for breaking its conference up?
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like, and how the SEC couldn't be the ones that were bringing over Oklahoma and Texas. And so the Big 12's theory was that ESPN basically is the one that did the deal here. Is there any chance that Sankey told ESPN it'd be 9 games. And it's like, look, Saban's on board, 9 games. Of course, you can't really have a 16-team league with 9 games without fully checking.
Oh, that would be incredible.
With the membership. Is there any chance this is not a money play? Is there any chance that Greg Sankey wrote some checks verbally that the rest of the league isn't ready to cash?
Look at the reports about Kevin Warren and the Big Ten's TV deal.
Right.
That's exactly what I'm thinking here, right? Like, because
hey, I mean, come on, guys, we're going to 9.
Yeah.
You hear it? Come on. Like, of course we're going to be going to 9. Like, this is
maybe the reason the deal got done was an understanding that they would be going to 9 games.
Yeah, the SEC is paying all that money for the reason. Like, they want SEC games, and they could sit again. They're crying. They're afraid they're going to miss bowl games, and they're afraid that's going to lead to coaches getting fired. But here's the other thing: bowl games are going to become more and more meaningless every single year with the playoff anyway. Like, going to a bowl game is not going to save your coach. Like, going 6-6 is like, oh well, we got to keep them. We won half our games.
But you know what's even more valuable? Getting 3 or 4 SEC teams into the playoff.
Mm-hmm. But you're going to get 3 SEC teams in every year, no matter what.
He said I did not see this quote. So listen, let me be reckless as we tend to be here on the Cover 3 podcast on May 31st. But it's like he had some analytical model retrofit that is like, if we had a 9-game conference schedule, here's what your records would have been. We wouldn't have had a big change in your bowl eligibility. We wouldn't have had a big change in your college football playoff contention. Like, and then he adds on and remember the pandemic wasn't that great, which, excuse me, sir. But he was like, the 10-game conference schedule, this was what our fans loved. You know, we only got to play each other, and this is the greatest thing that could happen. It's a lot of push from one of the most powerful people in college athletics, and it's interesting to me that he might not get his way. My prediction here is that they go to an 8-game conference schedule the first year with Texas and Oklahoma. It is 1 permanent rival, 7 rotating rivals, and they do that for a couple years, maybe even the first 2 years of the college football playoff. And it's not until we get the next college football playoff contract that we start to see a full reconfiguration of the conference.
If they stick to 8 games, the C in SEC stands for cowards, period.
Yeah. Flip it.
For sure.
What do y'all think? How do you think this ends?
9 games. I think it's a whole lot of saber rattling. I think Saban's trying to get an easier protected rivalries, which, going back to what we were doing on the show when we did our SEC protected rivalries, that was one of the things I was arguing. Alabama's not going to want those 3 teams, but ESPN and the SEC would. So Saban's trying to get out of one of those games. I think that they would settle for LSU, Auburn, and getting rid of Tennessee. I don't know, but he's trying to get an easier opponent. Maybe that's one of the things. If you get Saban on board, I think that's enough votes, is it not? Because you mentioned some of the schools that are already on board with a 9-game schedule. So I think you've just kind of got to flip Nick. And maybe Nick, you know, he's friends with Joe Manchin. He understands the importance of leverage and power of being a deciding factor in a vote. And he's learned some lessons, and he's using that right now to get what he wants. And then they will go to the 9-game schedule.
Over under 1.5 seasons on how long they play 8 games.
Over.
Under.
Over.
Under.
Okay.
I could see him doing it. I could see him doing it for 1 year, capitalizing on the excitement of bringing Texas and Oklahoma in. ESPN be like, Greg,
get it done. Dance, monkey,
what
dance.
You said, bro.
That's what my buddy Joe Giglio said. Joe Giglio said this is the Ovius and Giglio fantastic podcast. If you want to voyeuristically look in on Triangle Media, he said this is the dance monkey dance moment that ESPN threw out the symbols and was like, all right, come on. We backed it up. You know, we let all this happen. You know, now it's time for you to pay up on this. I think it's 2 because that actually does let you cycle through. That you do 2 because it's the 1 and the 7 and then the 1 and the other 7.
All right. If I said it 2, you can't push. You going over or under?
Under.
3 more likely?
No. No, because that's where the expansion of, like, I would not be surprised if the new college football contract expands again. That if they push it out to 16, and then the idea that you've got a 3-loss SEC team is not a big deal because those extra at-large bids that would come with an expansion from 12 to 16 are going to the SEC and the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need a vote on this from the league? Like, is it actually in the bylaws that the league members have to vote on this, or are they taking the temperature and then Greg Sankey decides?
Not sure.
Where's Brandon Marcello? He's there.
That's actually something we need to.
This is a great Brandon question, and I'm gonna count on him.
I'm gonna text Brandon right now. Actually,
yeah.
They didn't teach me SEC voting rules and civics in 8th grade. I only know the government. They need 2/3 approval. What do they need for veto power? I don't know. Does Stanky get a veto? Because that could be it right there. Well, he said, "Yeah, we're gonna do what I want."
Yeah, I think it is. Kick it down the line. You spend 2 years where everybody gets to see everybody, and then when the new college football playoff contract starts, which probably involves ESPN and more opportunities for money and yada yada yada, that sort of allows for yet another reset. I mean, Big Ten still hasn't figured out what it's going to do with USC and UCLA either. So we got a lot to figure out from the scheduling front.